You're listening to the Gem Mint Podcast by GFNF. Your weekly breakdown of sports cards, hobby news, and everything in between. Here's your hosts, Jake and Nico.
Yo guys, what's going on? Welcome to the Gem Mint Podcast by GFNF. My name's Nico, and I'm here with my buddy Jake. Say what's up, Jake.
What's going on, guys?
Welcome to our first episode. Our podcast is pretty much just going to cover everything hobby related, retail botting, big sales in the hobby. There's been a lot of drama going on lately, so there's some juicy stories out there. But Jake, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit, where you're from, how long you've kind of been in the hobby in general.
Yeah, my name is Jake. I'm from Chicago, Illinois. Been in the hobby for about a decade now. Started right around 2010 and 11, collecting baseball cards with families and friends. And as it's progressed now over the last 3 years, has boomed into something completely different and opened up a lot of opportunities, many of which are provided by GFNF. And that's kind of what started our time together here.
Yeah, so for me, I'm from New Jersey. Kind of been in the hobby just for about a year now. Really deep into it. I mean, I did Pokemon and stuff when I was younger, but not to the level that it is now. Where there's this serious money being thrown around. But yeah, so Jake and I.
Imagine having those Pokemon cards back right now.
I did
as a kid.
Yeah, well, the ones that you ripped up and shoved into binders and into your spoke on your bike. But
sickening.
Yeah. So so we're gonna kind of just go with the flow here. We got a couple big topics we want to hit. So we're gonna start with kind of like a retail rundown of this past week, as well as some botting and hobby news as well. Let's get to it. So today, we saw Topps drop Bowman Draft Sapphire to the public. We saw yesterday a kind of a shock drop out of nowhere for Montgomery Club, but the email came like 20 minutes later. People had all day to pretty much buy it if you're Montgomery Club, but we did see the public release today. And Jake, I know you did pretty well on that.
Yeah, I did. It was your typical Topps story where Bowman Draft Sapphire good, Topps website bad. We had lots of, as you can imagine, a lot of people going for this product. It's one of my favorite products of the year. I know it's one of your favorite products of the year. And that goes a long way with a lot of the breakers. So everyone was going for this. We did pretty well this morning. We secured quite a few boxes. Our community secured even more. And overall, pretty great drop.
Yeah, so mostly everyone in GFNF is running KSR. For those that don't know, KSR is an automation software. It's a retail bot, and it shreds Topps. So if you were prepared and ready, which we had most of the group ready to go, you grabbed quite a few boxes, and I mean it even trickled onto Twitter to some people that I would have never thought I've ever seen tweet about retail botting. We had someone tweet, from what I'm gathering, the bot KSR ran a product ID on Bowman Sapphire and bought all the boxes before it even went available on Topps site. Topps, can you confirm? If so, that's trash. So
yeah, he tagged Topps, right?
Yeah, he tagged Topps like they're gonna do anything, because you can't even get them on the phone to talk to about a simple thing, but they're gonna respond to his tweet. So yeah, we had quite the feedback on Twitter there, but nothing new really. I mean, that's to be expected.
In all seriousness, he's not wrong.
No, he's not. I mean, but who knows, with Fanatics, acquiring Topps, maybe we'll see something different. But
right.
We know how it goes with Fanatics too. But we'll save that for a little bit later. But so we also saw a Walmart restock today. The usual Wednesday restock was kind of just a bunch of trash again, if we're being honest.
Not much to write home about. Just a little bit of Illusions football that was new. Nothing that we're waiting for, though, which is mainly Mosaic football. We're waiting for the next drop.
Yeah, we should. I would imagine it's going to be a couple weeks before we see that. I mean, it was, a month before we saw Mosaic basketball? After the retail drop or the hobby?
Yeah, what's your thoughts on that? Do you think they're Is it a production delay down? I mean, because most of these cards are printed at a factory down in Texas, and that's across the board. That's for Topps, Upper Deck, and Panini. They all come out of the same factory. Is it a production value or a production issue down there, or do you think it's just them behind on starting the print run?
I think it's a production thing. Honestly, I don't see why they would be behind. Maybe it's just because of the sheer quantity that they're printing of this other stuff. That is causing they're causing delays for themselves. But they could also just want to drag this out. We've had Mosaic basketball on Walmart for what, 4 or 5 weeks now in a row. And we're seeing Target every other week, and we've had it for the past 2 weeks, right? So,
right. It's amazing to watch what has happened with retail basketball comparatively to where it was a year ago. I've never been a big basketball guy. I'm more baseball and football. But when this boom kind of took off, then we saw basketball kind of take the first place lead and kind of drive the hobby for the first year of this boom.
I mean, just basketball in general. There was no other sport you could buy a blaster for $20 and sell it for $600, or a mega box for $40 and sell it for almost $1,000. That's what we saw with 2019 Prism with Zion and Ja, and because those cards were selling for $1,800, in a PSA 10 that you could send for $20, $30, $40. It was the returns were insane, but it's just not the same now. It's people are more conservative. They're cautious. They don't want to get burned like a lot of people did. And I think that's where a lot of the the caution comes from with basketball in general, and that's why I tend to stay away from that.
Yeah, it looks like it's also got a 50% higher price point at retail than it did a year ago too, which true. I think it's kind of a triangle. Like I've always seen it as about a year ago, PSA stopped grading cards. And when you can't grade the cards and turn them into $200 cards from $20 cards, that affected the sealed wax prices, which in turn affected the singles prices. And it's just kind of a cycle from there.
Yep, I agree. So, so that's really it on the retail botting front. No other really major happenings right now. So let's hop into some kind of drama or news in the hobby in general. I know this was last week, but we did get an update this week on the Backyard Breakers. So these dudes, from what I understand, they held a break and they decided to give a box away to someone that had, I guess, the worst hits in the break, or just someone that was watching. And they ended up pulling an expensive Trevor Lawrence Gold Kaboom out of 10. And basically, this was all on Stream Live, and they pretty much were like, "Yeah, we can't give this away. Like, this is too expensive." And it just caused a complete uproar, at least on Twitter. They really don't have that big of a Twitter following. They're more on Whatnot and TikTok. But yeah, it caused a huge uproar. They doubled down on being, a little shady. They were trying to play the bad guy, sending out, videos and stuff, holding their ground. So they decided to eventually give it away on Twitch. I think the winner ended up being some guy that just had followed them on Twitch. So already it was very suspect. And then I believe 2 days ago it was, winner, a supposed winner, tweeted a picture, tagged Backyard Breaks, and said, "Well, he has arrived. The card heard around the world. Hashtag Trevorgate. Thanks again, Backyard Breaks, for the insane giveaway." So apparently they flew this dude out. They posted a video today on it. Regardless, if they actually did give it away to this Cameron kid, you got to avoid people like this, right, Jake? I mean, some of the big breakers in the business. I mean, could you imagine them hitting, a 5-6 figure card and being like, I don't think we could give this, we can give this away. It's too expensive.
Yeah, I think it goes a long way for. First of all, I don't think I would ever break with someone wearing a crop top.
Questionable choices.
Yeah, and not that attire necessarily drives my decision for breaking, but it definitely didn't help. You had a little bit of an Uncle Rico vibe from Napoleon Dynamite, but these guys had every opportunity to make this right. First of all, just not pulling this in the first place probably would have been their best option, but once it happened and people were onto it and sniffed it out right away, I think they issued a video. If you haven't seen it, I'd recommend go watching it. Basically where they're holding two $10,000 stacks of cash, and basically stated that they're going to go give it away to a children's charity, the Boys and Girls Club in town, and that's more than the card, and that kind of made up for what they did. And I think that put a lot bad taste in people's mouths because, number one, they refused to pull out the receipt from the donation, and it didn't justify anything from who was supposed to get that card. So that was a big problem.
Yeah, they put a picture up of them at the Boys and Girls Club. That was and they just kept replying to people with it. Because people were doubting it, and I don't know. It just, they did have every chance to make it right, and they just like, stomped on it every chance they could get. So, but let's not give those dudes any more publicity than they deserve. So
I agree.
Let's move on to the Logan Paul Pokemon case fiasco. So so basically this first edition sealed, or at least what was thought to be first edition sealed Pokemon case, gained a lot more traction because Logan Paul purchased it for $3.5 million, and the internet does what the internet always does. They figure it out, and they somehow, without even opening the case, debunked that it was fake. People, these dudes that were debunking this case were getting a lot of crap from a lot of people, mostly the people that sold it, because it was authenticated by Baseball Card Exchange, who authenticates sealed wax. So they ended up flying the box out to Chicago and opening it just to find out that it was indeed fake. And full of resealed fake first edition boxes that had G.I. Joe cards in it. So,
what do you think went through Logan's mind when he first saw those G.I. Joe cards?
I mean, the one picture of the dude from BBC just sitting there looking, saying that we got duped, and Logan's just standing there with like that dead look in his face, like, I'm recording this video for YouTube. I can't kill this guy right now.
Yeah, that's called guilt.
Yeah. So that guy knew he was screwed, and we don't know what's going to happen next. I mean, the only news that we know is Shine, who his name is Matt. He's huge. Shine 150 on Instagram. He's massive into cards. He's got some of the biggest cards out there. He sold it to Logan. He has since refunded Logan. And then Shine is in process of trying to get his money back from the dudes that he bought him from, which was these two dudes, Mealy Pops, who has a shop in Florida, and Card Kahuna. I believe Mealy Pops has agreed to pay it back. I don't think Card Kahuna, I think he lawyered up. So I don't know, Jake, what do you think happens next? I think it's going to go to court.
I think it's definitely going to end in court. I mean, my opinion, I believe that however it works out down the line is between those guys in civil court. But I believe that BBCE is responsible for everything after the authentication. I don't know any other way to look at it, unfortunately. I mean, everyone got duped, but if you're running a business and selling a product of authentication, you need to be right, especially when it comes to $1 million worth of product.
Yeah, they were trying to claim that this was the first time that they had authenticated Pokemon, which I'd seen multiple reports that was not the case. And the guy, before they even opened it on Logan's video, the guy from BBC explained what he looks for on sports cards. So he was going through the same process. It's a sealed case. There's only so many things you can look at. You look at the tape, you look at the labeling, you look at, make sure it's not tampered with, and you can weigh it, which we didn't see the full authentication process. So we don't know if they actually did weigh it or not. But yeah, it's going to end up in court. And I think the dudes that ended up selling it to Shine are going to have to pay the money back, and they'll probably themselves go after BBC. But
I'm not a YouTube star. I'm not a social media influencer yet. We'll see how this podcast goes, but I would assume that Logan did okay off the publicity of this.
Oh yeah, he's the king at that.
He
can
loss.
put asses in seats.
Yep,
let's be real.
No doubt about it.
I mean, look at his boxing. That dude, he's great. He knows what he's doing. It was an unfortunate. I don't know if it was worth $3.5 million. Maybe it is, but I mean, he's got such a big following that it might not have even mattered. But
well, and before they found out it was fake, he was under the impression that it was the only sealed case in the world, but that ended up not being the case, right?
Yeah, there's a couple people that have cases. I know there's one that I don't know if it's sealed. I know it's kind of like half opened, so you could see the boxes. But yeah, I don't think it's the only sealed case out there. I think it was the only BBC authenticated. But we can see how much that holds up now. But yeah, so let's move on to this a big topic here, the Fanatics Takeover. So as we all know, Fanatics is going to be the one-stop shop for the hobby very soon. And, recently acquired Topps. So, Jake, what are your thoughts on that? Is this a good thing, bad thing? What's up with Panini here? What are your thoughts?
I mean, I like to think it's always good for the hobby to have new money come in, but if it turns into a monopoly, we might see some problems. I think Topps definitely needed some help. I think the hobby itself needed some help with how they're handling this increase in. I mean, let's just face it, there's more money in the hobby, there's more collectors in the hobby, and there's significantly more demand, and these companies are struggling to keep up with it. So I think it's a matter of how Fanatics handles their decision-making through Topps. Are they going to print under the Topps name? Are they going to I would assume so, right? I mean, they would be stupid not to.
Do you think it's going to kill retail reselling?
I think it's going to hurt it, yeah. I think if they control the point of sale, they control the price point, and they control 100% of the supply, they can make their own price. And if you want it, you'll pay it, and if you don't, you won't.
Now, do you think, I saw that, as of like 2 days after the deal was closed with Topps, Fanatics is in charge of everything. Do you think today the $200 price point we saw was driven by them? You'd have to think so, right? With last year's box being $70 and the year before $35, we see quite the price increase today.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think it's probably them testing the waters. What are people willing to pay? I mean, if you're willing to pay, basically a 200%, almost 300% of what is last year, it's what's to stop them? Now they're going to roll. So I guess we'll see with upcoming drops with, Formula One around the corner, some UEFA products around the corner. We'll see what they do with that. But yeah, a $200 Sapphire box with 32 cards and no guaranteed autos is a little bit hard pill to swallow.
Yeah. So I didn't. Again, I've only been in this this deep in the hobby for a year now, and I was reading up a little bit more on the 2019 because. It's a $500 box, and it was $35.
$35
yeah.
we were buying.
So I wasn't aware that it was just something that was thrown together, and that's why it was no autos and was so cheap because Topps didn't know how people were going to respond to it.
Yeah.
And, obviously people don't care that there's no autos. That Sapphire product, it just always sells. I mean, look at like Garbage Pail Kid Sapphire from last year, Montgomery Club. It's like a $600 box. And it was like $80 retail.
It's wild.
So, I mean, you could just Sapphire anything.
Could you imagine a $200 Garbage Pail Kid Sapphire box?
Yeah, we'd probably buy it.
Riots. I will riot.
Yeah. So one other thing from Fanatics is, they're pushing their Candy NFT, which is the official licensed baseball NFT marketplace. It's ran by Michael Rubin, the CEO of Fanatics, as well as Gary Vee, which I think mostly everyone knows at this point, whether you're in the NFT space or the sports card space. He's he's made his presence known, and they just opened their marketplace last week. They've been around for a little bit, but you haven't been able to sell anything.
Right.
You could just buy packs, open them, or keep them sealed, but now you could sell it. So just a little data on that. They did $1 million in sales in the first 8 hours. I think it was around $1.5 million in the first 24. And this is zero crypto. This is all just straight, USD, cash. So it seems pretty cool. Gary V's behind it. It'll probably do well. It'll take a lot for it to fail. I have more hope for it than Top Shot, but I don't know, Jake. I know we've been getting into NFTs a little bit more lately. What's your feelings on this? I mean, I don't know if it'll could fully replace baseball cards, but I think it has a place.
The old collector in me says that baseball cards, the physical opening of packs and stuff, there'll always be a market for that. That being said, as the world changes and everything's moving into the metaverse, and I think that you almost have to kind of dive in a little bit, because this is the way the collectibles are going. It's a little nerve-wracking to me, again, going back to if Fanatics owns all the retail. So they bought Topps. Rumors are that they're trying to make a play on Upper Deck. I don't know if that also means this year they'll try to make a play on Panini. They don't really need Panini if they have Topps Chrome and Bowman Chrome, but they don't necessarily need Prism. But if they hold a monopoly on that side of it, they own the NFT monopoly of the sports NFTs. They're about a grading company away from being a one-stop shop for everything hobby.
Yeah, and that, they're trying to be the Amazon of sports cards pretty much.
Right.
And, we've seen their graded card prices, like their PSA slabs, and it's absolute garbage. Like, they try to push them, and the prices are just atrocious. So, yeah, we'll see. I think it's got a place for sure. And, we'll be keeping tabs on that. And we'll probably give a little Candy NFT update each week here going forward. So, on to the next thing here. We had Baseball America's Top 100 prospect list come out today. Jake, I know you and I are both pretty big into the baseball market and prospecting in general. We saw the usual big guys. We have Adley at 1, my boy J-Rod at 2, Bobby Witt at 3. We did see Riley Green overtake Torkelson. So Detroit's got 2 absolute studs in the top 5. But there were some shocking placements as well. We had Marcelo Mayer for Boston at 15. Kids hasn't played an inning of baseball yet, at the professional level, over guys like Marte and Luciano and stuff. So how you feeling about that one?
I disagree with that real bad, but this is why I love Bowman. This is why I think you love Bowman, is that the prospecting and the investments in guys that are kids. I mean, a lot of these kids are, when they come up and get their first Bowman, are just out of their senior year of high school, and you never know when someone's going to pop off. For example, right in the middle of the boom last year, right, we were ripping open 2020 Bowman. We were chasing Bobby Witt, who's the number 3, and Jason Dominguez. And it goes to show, Jason Dominguez is ranked as the 87th prospect in this top 100.
Yeah, he went down a bit.
And number 10, his teammate Anthony Volpe, is in the top 10. So you never know who's gonna explode. And obviously, these guys' cards reach peak value as they come into the pros, and you get to say, "Hey, I collected that guy from day one."
Yeah, and there's still some really affordable guys on the card market side. In the top, Luciano still relatively affordable. Marte still pretty affordable. Zach Veen, is pretty damn cheap, and he plays in the hitter park. People really don't go to the game to watch a pitching duel. People want to see home runs, see offense. There's a lot of good names, a lot of risers. Definitely, like you mentioned, Volpe. He might be the hottest name right now. I see a lot of him being moved. A lot more J-Rod out there. It's the baseball market's picking up. So if now's a good time. If you want to play it safe, take some of those profits. If you got in early on some of these guys, you never know.
It's wild
what can happen.
Yeah, it's wild to look at. Go back on eBay, guys, and go back on the sales in summer of 2020, and look what Anthony Volpe autos were going for, and look what they're going for now in his first Bowman.
Yeah,
It's absolutely insane, the increase and how these kind of lists and how they progress through the minors, how close they are to the pros, that kind of stuff all factors in.
Yep. Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on that and update as we get closer to hopefully a baseball season. But yeah, it should be a good one and interesting to see who gets the call here, and hopefully we see some of these guys in the majors this year. But yeah, let's move on to a little segment we're gonna call high rollers. So we grabbed a couple high dollar sales in the market over the past week. Starting with one of everyone's new favorite products over the past year, Formula One. We saw a Max Verstappen Sapphire Variation Red out of 5, PSA 9, go on auction for $35,000.
Unbelievable.
I mean,
unbelievable.
A lot of people were bullish on F1 when it came out right away. It wasn't a highly produced product. It was more of like a test run for Topps, and it worked out really well. So
you've bought some Max Verstappen cards in the past couple weeks, some nice ones. Let me ask you this: what was the print run for boxes of Formula One Sapphire last year? Do you know?
Just like the base card that they call the portrait card is it's a 2,000 print run. You're not getting products like that with the base card in it anymore.
Okay, so my point in asking that, I heard some rumors today, and I don't know if they're true or not, but it seems like Topps went from 2,800 Montgomery Club members last year total to now close to 6,400.
I think that would be accurate.
So, are they going to print Formula One through the roof and tank it? Or are they going to keep to their? I mean, even though it's hot and it's high dollar, it's still not quite the following that some of the other major sports have, obviously. But so you're still getting in now. I mean, getting in now, they're expensive cards, but you're still ahead of. This isn't a baseball market yet. Would you agree with that?
Dude, I mean, they're so different just because there's so fewer, people to collect, drivers. It's a first-year product, so there's just so much money being thrown around. I don't know. I had this opinion at the beginning that listen, it's not baseball. It's not going to be baseball. Obviously, baseball is quite the history, especially in the card market. I'm interested to see where it's going. I think it's got a lot more room to grow. I think buying the F1 GOAT, Lewis Hamilton, is an excellent purchase. There's some really nice cards, low print runs that you can get that are affordable. So we'll see. We'll see. I think it's going to be interesting to see how much product we see released this year from Topps, and what kind of margins we see on these boxes like we did last year. $120 retail box is $2,000 now. So yeah,
I'll tell you one thing for certain. I can't afford that Verstappen red.
No,
that's for sure.
And most people know all these numbered colored cards from F1 are damaged on the back. Or at least 99% of them. So most are PSA 8, PSA 7, maybe PSA 9 quality. So, but doesn't seem to be slowing the market down at all. So, yeah. So let's move over to some football and probably the hottest name right now, Joe Burrow. So we saw two big sales go off. One was a Contenders cracked ice auto, sold for $39,000. Best offer. It was a number 13 out of 22 PSA 10, and we also saw a National Treasures out of 10 HGA sell for $75,000. You got to imagine that's getting cracked out, right?
I can't imagine you keep it in an HGA slab, but yeah, I mean, $75,000 RPA out of 10. First of all, who sends that to HGA?
Did you see the images on the eBay listing? They're so blurry.
I know.
They're terrible. So
they probably want people to know, or they don't want them to figure out that it's an HGA slab.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. So, someone paid $75,000 though. So we'll keep an eye on that and see if it resurfaces. I would imagine it's going to show up in a BGS or PSA slab. And then the last one we have here, Mr. Mike Trout should be back this season. A refractor first Bowman auto for $55,000.
Wow.
So yeah, his market I think is slowly climbing back as he was out for most of last year.
Yeah.
How you think he's gonna have a bounce back season this year and return to form?
I think so. He's the best player in the league, in my opinion, as far as when he's performing at an elite level. To give you guys an idea, this card we're talking about is a refractor version of the one that Vegas Dave sold for. What was it? Pretty close to.
It was a lot. It wasn't $4 million, was it?
I think it was 3.5 or 4.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, so this is just the refractor auto version where his was.
I think it had the X-Fractor.
Yeah, X-Fractor. Yep.
So yeah. So and then one other thing, I know this wasn't a sale, but we did see Mosaic football release this past week, and some of the dudes I follow on Instagram, Flushing Breaks out in New York, they pulled the Trevor Lawrence Nebula 101 NFL debut. Absolutely disgusting looking card with the color match.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's a sick one. I think Mosaic's got some of the best looking cards. So yeah, we'll see. I'm sure some other monsters will get pulled. I did see the Jamar Chase 101 get pulled as well. But I don't think we've seen any of the Mac Jones, Justin Fields or anything surface yet.
Not quite.
Nope.
Speaking of which, that was a good product for us at GFNF. Was first off the line Mosaic. We had
Oh yeah.
We got in right at the floor at $675, and boxes are going creeping up on $900 to $1,000 now.
Yeah, those the first off the line parallels are doing pretty well. I know Mac Jones got pulled like one of the first days. I think it sold for like 4,000.
Wow.
So yeah, that should definitely help prices. But yeah, so we'll just finish up with any upcoming drops on the week. Retail wise, I mean, hopefully we could see some Mosaic NBA mega boxes drop. And we're just kind of waiting on Mosaic NFL. I don't know. What do you think? I think we got like maybe at least 2 weeks before we see that pop up.
I'm gonna make a wild call. I think we're gonna see it pop up in Walmart's in store next week.
That'd be ideal because usually we see Target the following week. When we see it in store like that. So yeah, we'll keep our eyes peeled on that. And then in the world of hobby, we had Flawless Basketball Dutch auction, which oddly sold out. It started at $12,000 and it sold out at $11,200, which was a little weird. Do you think they had a technical difficulty, or you think it actually sold out at $11,000?
I think something funky happened because didn't they put out a message to people that for a 20% off coupon for Flawless?
Did they? Oh, maybe. Okay. I didn't keep
I think
up
we
with
saw that in our Discord.
Okay. I might have missed that one. Yeah. Yeah. Cause that 11,000, I mean, that's not chump change for a box of cards that are
what a
probably
case.
messed up.
A case comes with 4 of them.
I believe Flawless is 2. It's just 2 briefcases. Yeah.
So just an easy 22.5.
Yeah. Something light. Probably charge for shipping too. Yeah. So, we also got Immaculate Football. I believe it next week, and then we're just waiting on the new Formula One. And right now slated for next month, but it was also slated for September, and November, and December. So we're not gonna hold our breath there and wait for tops. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't know. You think we see it in February?
Yeah, 2023.
Yeah,
probably, but
yeah.
Yeah, eventually we'll see it.
Yeah, good. Okay, all right, guys. I think Jake. I think we'll close up there. Yeah. If you guys want to connect, you could follow GFNF on Twitter at GFNF. 2 underscores at the end there. If you want to hit me up at NaffyBoy13 on Twitter, and Jake, why don't you plug your Twitter?
Mine is at Wrigley Elite SC, Wrigley Elite Sports Cards.
Yep. So we'll be back next week with a new episode, and appreciate you guys listening. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.